What's up, guys? My name is Richard Terrell. I go by Kirby Kid. Welcome to DO Live. This is a daily stream in which we talk about game design. We have a Discord. We also have a YouTube channel and Twitter. But on our Discord, we talk about game design all day, all the time. Today's been kind of a crazy day. It's been E3 and some pretty impressive presentations so far. I think I've enjoyed all of them, which is kind of surprising. The Microsoft, the Bethesda, and the EA. What's that, Saturday? Yeah, they've all been pretty entertaining considering that usually one of these conferences is kind of a snoozer. But I'm not really talking about that. We talk about that in our live voice chat, so we've already discussed that all day. I'm just winding down a little bit and thinking about visual scripting and playing a little bit of SpaceChem. So I'm going to switch over to that now, and let's hope this doesn't break everything when I go full screen. How about this? Is it working? Looks like it's working, okay. Is it stretched? It's stretched because this game is so strange. Options. And keep aspect ratio. Save changes. It's gonna do its thing again. I can't blame them for these features. My own game is so weird doing full screen settings and all these other things if you've never done it before, so yeah, at least it's bigger on the screen. That looks good. Yep, there's me in the corner. I'm Kirby Kid, the engineer. Oops, no. Don't even know what that is. I want to eat this. So I'm just like a couple of worlds in. I played through some of the early stuff. I'm not even sure what all the things do, but these graphs are nice. I love data. The fact that when you are using less symbols than most people, you'll be left of the bell curve, if you will, over there. And then, you know, I don't know what this elapsed cycles reactors use. We didn't have a choice here, so we only use one reactor. So, you know, you're as good as everybody else. And elapsed cycles, how quickly you got the whole thing done. You know, I'm at the top of the bell curve. I'm pretty average in that on that one, but this is one I did relatively well at. So we're gonna keep playing. Oh no! Saving reactor designs, you can do that. Save the reactor design to reuse it on other assignments. It's so crazy. To save reactor design, choose save from the toolbox, right click into the name, and then you can use reactors. Everything's just scaling up, and I'm only halfway through these little tutorials. I click here. First, you know, you learn how to make different colored paths, and then you learn how to make multiple bonds. Then you learn how to sync and desync things. And then you learn how to add and remove bonds for triple bonds. Then you learn how to make, all that's contained within the factory, and you learn how to link factories on this like macro level, and then how to go back into the factories and save factories. So that's how far we've gotten. This is kind of crazy. We need to output this junk. So it looks like we have 3 reactor quota. Quota, is that like max, or how many I'm assembling a disassembly reactor? What's the difference? Executes reactions with molecules that enter through inputs on the left. Double click to edit. Contains bonders that can only remove bonds. Only has one input. Oh, so if you just want to start with something and then kind of break it down before you even use some of these. Man, games really do have a really handy way of adding complexity. And I think each one of these pipes that you build is like a tick in the timer that you'll see later. So I'm going to take this element and break it down, I guess, into just remove the extra hydrogen, since looks like a perfect equation the amount of hydrogen we remove from the bonding is exactly how much we have left over, so we're just going to make an H2. I'm pretty sure all these are real chemical substances and reactions that you might find. So we're going to go in here, and since the input is this stuff up here in the top left, you gotta work with it. So a lot of stuff in here is click and draggable. I guess the hover tip helps remind you of stuff. You can change your start point if you want, of both colors. You can change these if you want. When you get them next to each other, they indicate which connections are there. I think you can drag a whole bunch of things at once, but only if they're these yellow and blue things. So like a click and drag interface is pretty familiar. Lots of hotkeys like tabbing, blue and red. I wish there was one more way to do that. And then you can make blue or red elements visible or invisible. Or you can lock it away so you can't click on blue, which is very Photoshop-like. Mouse over atom. You can mouse over atoms to view it, detail. Different speeds here. If you select one speed here, you can pause and then resume the speed, or just hit spacebar. Undo action, you got multiple undos, which is nice. You can periodic table just to check some stuff. Pretty fancy. So in a lot of ways, it's like a simulation. Not too gamey, right? This is something Mark Brown talked about in his videos. We're like, am I playing a game or am I solving whatever? Like, regardless, this game doesn't have a lot of sort of fun and whimsical abstractions. It's kind of like programming. And if you want some story, here you go. Read these pages. Just like with Braid, I ignore all this stuff until like late in the game, and I'm really curious and I read it all at once. So we'll see what happens. This interface using the WASD down here highlights each one, and when it's highlighted, then you can click to create more of those, right? Or you can highlight them all and delete. So then you can hold like this one, but the only way to specify more specific things on it is to right click it, or you can change its color or delete it just like that. So as much as you can do with the hotkeys, you can't do everything, and that's the bulk of the interface. You can I like this too. You can just click and drag things that you see like Mario Maker or any other kind of visual editor. You just click and drag. I like that. The pathing in this game is kind of interesting. Let's see, I'll show you this. You can like make this go down, make this go right, make this go up, and loop back to the center. And when you hit play, you see it just goes in a cycle, in a closed loop. But then if you do something like this, let's see. Oh, I hate how I can't figure out how to stop it without clicking down there. And I do something like this. See that? And now it's in a smaller loop. You can't bust out of the loop once you do this. I don't think there's any and or gates, which really simplifies the flow. It's really linear. So you think like within one large loop, and since they give you two colored paths, you have two loops to deal with. They can talk to each other in weird ways, but ultimately both cycles cap your complexity in that case. So like I like that too. The interface is kind of weird. You notice how like the red arrows here are like kind of in an odd position. Like why isn't this arrow directly in the center? Well, when you drag things, those are kind of in the center, but they're not directly in the center either. The reason that is because when you intersect with blue, the red's always going to hang out on the leftish side, the blue's always going to hang out on the rightish side. And even when you drag in blue elements, see how they just barely share the space neatly? That's why it's a little offset. That threw me off, because when you add an arrow like this, you add an arrow to the entire block, but it looks like it's just hanging on the edge, and it's kind of hard to visualize that. I kind of wish the blocks underneath were lightly colored or something, but you know, you get used to it in a matter of like one play session, 1.5 sessions, so that's not that big of a deal. I'm trying to think in ways of like how this is pretty complicated interface. You have to be pretty familiar with PC games or editors or software to be like, oh, this is great, like la 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 la, and let's just start clicking like crazy. I imagine most people, especially console gamers and people who don't do a lot with software, would not be familiar with this very hotkey driven dual interface like this. But let me try to solve this one. All we can do is break apart. So we're going to take, so this is cool part, the inputs right here only comes from this top left area. So we switch to red, we click in, go ahead and give ourselves an input. It's going to pop out right here in this formation. So we're going to just grab the very edge of it by making a grab here. Once we grab the edge, we're going to swoop down, probably here, delete this, okay. Apparently you can't highlight an individual one, you have to highlight two or more. Maybe I'm just missing it, whatever. Since I have the edge, I only want to remove a piece of it, so then I'm going to go right down and then it's going to hover over, this probably needs to be down here, this section, and then right when it passes over this section, I want to break that bond. So I'm going to go bond, break. It can only break anyway, but it's going to break that and leave a little hydrogen here. By the time that gets there, I want this blue one to swoop up, grab it for me. So we're going to say grab, with E. We'll say grab only. And we want you to output that hydrogen over here. So we're going to say drop that, whatever you get, drop it. And then we're going to say return. And then before we return, we're going to say like kick it out of the machine. Same thing with red. After we grab it, we're going to go over here. Drop it here. Return and kick it out of the machine. Oops. I have no idea what kind of formation that would do right there. It just bounced back and forth like an idiot. Sometimes you're like, why is that even in the game? You're like, just because I messed up, that's why. Output right here, and then that should zap it. We could speed up the whole process, you know. Or we can delay this start. So normally you use sinks like this, like, oh look, the blue's getting there too fast, and it's colliding. So what we do is say like, blue, you only need to grab this when it's ready, so we're gonna say, blue, stop. You gotta wait till sync up with red, and red we're gonna be like, once you're done moving over here, then sync here. Whenever both colors are on the sync, then they start moving again. So you can see blue waiting, and then right when they both hit the sync, they go for it. Except for blue got in its way. How annoying. Well, this doesn't need to be here like that. Like that. And blue can easily do... I'm just wasting shapes, but I don't care about being efficient right now. Grabs it, waits for it, pulls it, grabs it, deposits it, deposits it. Grabs it, waits for it, pulls it, grabs it, deposits it, deposits it. And then we run it super fast. What happened? What happened? Did I glitch it? Did it not drop? Let's watch it a little slower. I'm not sure what's happening there. Can we just not output whatever we want? I don't know how this works. Waiting? What is it waiting for? Then we just, whatever. I guess it doesn't have any room to spit it. So after it spit out one, it was just like, I'm done. One and done, boys. So let's see here. Let's try to move. Try to delete some of those. Oh. Okay. You want to be not fun? That tiny little bump here that prevents me from making a pipe. But I guess the grid behind the scenes is pretty clear. If there's not a white grid line here, you can't build on it. I just couldn't see that till just now. Squinting forward like an old man. Waiting to die alone. Let's see. Is it possible to double bond the hydrogen and double bond that all in one reactor? Seems like it's a tall order. I see a hydrogen comes in, it loops, and then it drops it off. And they do a trade-off. They both have to loop on themselves twice. Let's try it. Let's use one reactor. It's gonna be not easy. But then the one reactor only has one output each, so you're pretty much forcing me to do this. There we go. And then this complex one. This one was just the hydrogen, so this one should go here. And this one should go, they don't let you, oh they do let you crisscross. Alright, whatever. Oh cool, you can quickly swap between your reactors. I think I need to set the molecule that it is. Yeah, I don't know why it's stopping. Why is it stopping? This should be grab, drop. This should be just drop. Is it like doing that over and over? Let's see. I guess it was just grabbing it. Okay, now it's doing it again. It did it for a few more times. Okay. Do I have to set this? Right click. First of all, stop running the simulation. Upper pipe, and then you have to kind of set what chemical it is, which is 3 H's and a C. H, 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 C, single bond. There you go. And then this one right here, set to lower. It's just 2 H's. No, it's just 1 H. Okay. And now I can go back in here. Now it shows me what my outputs are, sure, but why is it stopping? It just chokes. And it's cycling. And it says 100%. Do we need to take these? Because it has like a limit. Oh, maybe that's how many pipes. It chokes on 2 because it's only 2 pipes linked. That's kind of crazy. Like, things that are kind of obvious. I mean, not obvious, but at least the visual design makes that a little easier to figure out. So that means if this next assembly doesn't kick out the chemical, doesn't deal with it fast enough, you could cause a choke, but I have 2 sinks on that, so that's not that big of a deal. So yeah, apparently every piece of visual feedback matters. And even though it looks like a lot on the screen, it is kind of overwhelming when you first play, but you do see everything, and as long as you don't clutter things up, like I don't think there's anything on the screen that I consider excessive unless you count these like Greek symbols. That's the most excessive thing, I think. Everything else is just text and color coded and trying to be as efficient as possible. Okay, so this one we're only trying to make that chemical. It's going to come in like this. In. It's going to pop in right here. We need to grab 2 of them. So one gets grabbed here. No. Here. Grab. And then when it's grabbing it, it's got to we're only going to bond the two C's, so we're just going to move over and wait. And as we move over, as we move over, we just kind of want it to be here and here. It's going to wait. It's going to actually add another in because we're going to be out of the way now. And we're going to wait right here. And as we wait, our friend blue is going to spin up. Grab it here. Grab. We're going to rotate it. Since we're grabbing it, grabbing it by this lower one, we're going to rotate it 1, 2. And since we need a little more time to rotate it, we're going to put this here, this, here. We're going to, I mean, if you're going to rotate it twice, it doesn't matter which two directions you pick for now. And now that it's, we're going to actually move it up here. And right when it gets here, we want to bond it. And then we're going to sync this one here and just drop this one off actually. Drop. And then this is going to bond to this blue one. The blue one's going to carry it over to our final area by its toes. Is it still on its toes? I guess it needs to carry it like this and then drop off here. Drop. And then by the time it gets through this entire cycle, which we will do that and that, it needs to be outputted by red. It looks like blue has much more distance it's going, so we're going to extend that like that. And just put a output here and then run it, see what happens. So I need to wait for it to be made. I definitely need a delay start. This. Shoot. That actually shouldn't hurt anything, except for I had no sinks in the entire thing. No, I did have a sink. Let's see if that actually hurts anything. Yep, hurt lots of stuff. What happened? I didn't even grab the right spot. It didn't even appear in the spot I thought it was going to be. Why? I don't understand why that happens. But that's okay. And then now that's too close to the wall. Great, so now it does matter which one I pick, because small things keep changing. So that one moves there, it goes through, sinks, waits for it. It's supposed to bond right at that moment. It just didn't bond. Let's see. It flew past this. I guess it was one too early. There we go. And then, do I not have a blue sink at all? What happened? What? Blue sink, where are you? So maybe, I don't even think that sink needs to be there. It just needs to be here and here. Then it comes by, drops it off, blue comes. Wow. What are you sinking on, by the way? Both of them are supposed to sync right before completing, and that means they're supposed to start their next cycle together. But it's stalling on in. I guess the ins are making their own sync points almost. Jeez. So I need to actually maybe put this one here, put a sink, red sink here, and we're just gonna put a blue sink here. No. It's waiting for it to be created so we don't have a bottleneck. Okay. I thought somebody would pass it along to the output. Was that not the correct? When did it actually hit this output? Okay, it just did it there, but it then skipped it. It's syncing, and then it syncs. Oh, it's just not completely in the formation. It's stuff like that that's kind of goofy. Like, it's almost all the molecules are in there, but it's not exactly. So I need to move that blue one more over. Yay. And then it waits, it grabs it, spins it, pops it in, waits, grabs it, spins it, pops it in. So now we know this will work forever. So now we gotta do the same thing with the second reactor, which is only getting fed hydrogen. You just need to double bond this junk. So blue comes in, awkward interface. I don't know where the hydrogen's gonna pop out, so let's just give it a quick run so we don't complain. It's right there for some reason. Not sure how that works. Is that because that's where I left it? I dropped it here? It is. Kind of funny. I thought it would be like this little symbol that I did, but that symbol is just a note. Kind of confusing. I guess I can just go back and be like, you should drop here. Why not? Hopefully that doesn't screw me over. Grab it here. It's the same trick though. We'll grab it here, we'll put another in. Have the red come by. Grab it. Grab it here. And then we're gonna assemble it here and then just push it out there. Oop. Undo, blue, right side, click. We're gonna put two sinks right after all that happens so that when they're ready, they're ready. The red's gonna get there first because we're gonna put it sync later in the chain. We're gonna put a drop here because the red doesn't need it. While the blue comes by, it's gonna swing in. We're gonna bond it. The blue's gonna go up. It's gonna just drop it off here. It's fine. Drop only. Then the blue's gonna circle back down. Repeat the process. We're gonna do an in sync. Red's gonna in sync. Backstreet's back. We don't even need that to be there as long as we have our sync here. It's cool when you don't need syncs and you actually can be efficient, but that's not me yet. Oh, I should have put a sync earlier in the process. I'm just gonna wait for that one, but the red should have waited. It's totally gonna crash. And it already deposited that one there, like, crash, wow. So the delays coming from the other factories are kind of easy to understand but hard to visualize. I guess the deeper you go into these nested reactors, the more that's a problem. So what we're gonna do is just do an early sync. And this sync is supposed to be over here. So the red doesn't even get its act together until blue it's gotten its act together. Let's speed it up. Okay, that was too fast. Oh, blue never dropped its... Blue gets there first, it looks like? I guess that makes sense. So just to make sure blue gets there second, we're going to put a sync with blue. And the red's going to get there first, and we're going to put the sync with red afterwards. And do it fast. Wait, drop off. I didn't put the output. Always something I forget. We're gonna put these sinks right before the output, and then we're gonna put that one over, and now everything's gonna be perfectly synced. Drop it. Okay, you didn't. I need to hit the red one, not the blue one. Tiny little mistakes. Here we go. Bottlenecks and chokes, waiting for things. Cool. It's gonna run forever. So let's see if the whole game works now. Yep. That's super cool though, especially zooming out. Like, look how many symbols I use. Too many. I like to just spell things out when I'm learning to make sure that all the steps are there. Even though I don't exactly do that at work. I need to do a little bit more. Complicated, but cool to zoom out and in. Cool. So that's just a quick look at what I've been doing in SpaceChem. The text that explains things is pretty good because it has, where is it? No, I didn't want that. No, I didn't want that. No. Yeah, so the explanations have pictures and text, and even though it's kind of dense and every time you come up with a new one, you're like, ah, not another thing. Like, those are the things that make the game interesting, and those are the things that you need to know. And the interface is very software-like, very PC-like. Decent feedback, right? Like, you see when I'm playing. I'll show you. This one I did so many, like, look, what is this craziness? But when I'm hitting the buttons down below, as you can see, they're barely highlighting. See, like, barely highlighting. That should be much more obvious to me. Just real crisp, bright feedback. I'll play this one. This is what I did earlier. And I like handoffs and things syncing up oddly. This is so inefficient, as you can see by my stats. But, you know, red waits there for the blue to go around over here. Syncs, activates red. Red deposits there, grabs, drops over here, and then blue has a drop that it doesn't need. Wow. Let me just make that a little bit more efficient. And run it. And if we have all this junk here, then why would we need the blue up there? I guess I was at a point when the blue actually did deposit it, and I just left it up there. We can just do that. Save ourselves 4 symbols. That's funny. And now you're like, if the sinks are all right here, no, just speed it up. So like, there's my best before, and this is my new one. I just saved myself a bunch of symbols by 4. I should be well deeper into the charts, but that can come later. So yeah, the interface is very PC-like. I want to try and create a system that is sort of a natural extension of the way people talk about games and play the game itself. So for SpaceChem, there's really no gameplay outside of the simulation. But imagine a normal game that people play, and they were doing some visual scripting for the processes and methods in a normal game. I want the player to almost play the game to program the scripts and not have to learn all this new interface, or maybe just talk to the game to program the scripts. So I'm working on a lot more. I'm thinking about it, I'm not really working on it yet. Intuitive ways for players to do that, because I think it's really important. If you can, it's cool when you do stuff like this and you can see how your brain works. Like, what's another one I did? So this is one I just showed you. There's another one, just kind of loopy, grabbing stuff, breaking bonds, putting them back together, and then depositing it. And you learn in this game that the goal shape, as long as the bonds are in the right connections, it doesn't matter what the molecule relative arrangement looks like. So this one, mine's a box, but the goal looks like it's a Tetris S piece, Z piece, or whatever. So that's just... that's fine. Yeah, here's the training I was telling you about. Like, it gives you nice pictures and little text. Still a screen full of information. I didn't even read this before. The reactor quota shows the maximum number of reactors used. The product assignment will not run if you exceed. Yep. And just other stuff. So yeah, that's our episode of DO Live today. I hope you guys enjoyed a nice, simple, light one, or just enjoyed me learning SpaceChem. Just started playing it yesterday. So until tomorrow, we got more E3 stuff we're going to be excited about throughout the week. I guess all my streams are going to be relatively simple, just random stuff, or just reacting to E3. So if that's your kind of thing, leave us a like on YouTube, join us in the Discord, and we will see you guys next time.